We're not actually specifically focused on AGI. I'm simply saying that AGI seems likely to be an emergent property of what we're doing. So I think we probably will have the most amount of data and probably the most amount of training power. Therefore, probably we will make a contribution to AGI. Optimus can both be utilitarian and do tasks, but can also be kind of like a friend and a buddy, hang out with you, and I'm sure people will think of all sorts of creative uses for this robot. Costumes, I guess, on the robot. I mean, you can make the robot look, you can skin the robot in many different ways. Probably within 3 years, and not more than 5 years. Within 3 to 5 years, you could probably receive an Optimus.
In this video, I explain why the world will never be the same after Tesla begins mass production of its Optimus humanoid robot. This is not hyperbole. Tesla Bot is the final product, the most consequential product in the history of civilization. Now, before you tune out, it's not going to happen tomorrow or anytime soon. This is a long-term project that will barely make an impact until the 2030s. But from there, things get super ridiculous. Super fast. So ridiculous, in fact, that I'm going to ask everyone watching to temporarily suspend disbelief. Just come along for the ride and make up your own mind when you've watched the entire video. And before we get into it, if you want to instantly unlock over 100 exclusive videos, plus my 10-year Tesla stock price targets and loads of other perks, including optional access to my Tesla valuation model, join our growing community of thousands of supporters on Patreon with the link in the pinned comment. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment-themed merch in the merch store. So let's take a listen to some of the things Elon Musk had to say about Tesla's humanoid robot. I'll add some comments and thoughts along the way.
And I'm wondering if Optimus will ever get a personality and be able to laugh at our jokes while it folds our clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we want to have really fun versions of Optimus, and so that Optimus can both be utilitarian and do tasks, but can also be kind of like a friend and a buddy and hang out with you. And I'm sure people will think of all sorts of creative uses for this robot.
I have absolutely no idea what Elon Musk could possibly be referring to with these comments about Tesla's humanoid robot. Now, in all seriousness, this really matters. Now, I'm not going to continue to repeat myself throughout the video. Last time I mentioned this, but it's very important to understand. We are not talking about tomorrow or next year or even this decade. We are talking about the distant future. So suspend your disbelief, put your long-term thinking cap on, and just imagine the possibilities. Utilitarian can do shit that's useful. In addition, can be a companion and, yes, as Elon alluded to, also potentially a lover. Now, I'm not here to judge. People are into whatever they're into. I'm not super in love with the idea of a robot lover anytime soon, but hey, you never know. Maybe those who are really struggling, I mean, some of the Tesla Q virgins in particular, maybe the first customers lining up to find out what Tesla's humanoid robot can really do. The commercial applications for Tesla's humanoid robot over the long term are astronomical, and we'll discuss these in detail throughout this video. However, I do want to emphasize the non-commercial applications. And what I mean by that is not doing useful labor necessarily, but doing other useful things for humanity. Some of the lowest hanging fruit for people who are lonely. Some of you guys and girls may not be aware, but there are a lot of people who have absolutely no friends in real life, a lot of shut-ins that don't even leave their homes, many people suffering from crippling loneliness. They have no social circle, they don't know how to meet people, they're desperately lonely, they just don't know what to do about it. There's also many people with mental health conditions as well, who could do really well having a robot companion who isn't going to get pissed off, annoyed, and feel drained every time they hang out. Another great potential application for Tesla's humanoid robot is to assist the elderly. Most elderly folks on Earth, super lonely, they don't get to see their friends and family nearly as much as they'd like to. Just imagine the difference. Somebody who's lost a husband or a wife 10 years ago, living on their own. What a difference it could make to have a Tesla humanoid robot in the home. There's also the peace of mind factor. If you're 90 years old, fall over and break your hip, rest in fucking peace. Unless, of course, there's a Tesla humanoid robot in the home who can immediately call for help. This is a serious, serious problem. Many elderly who live on their own, one accident, one medical issue, there's nobody there to find them, nobody there to call an ambulance, nobody there to get them to a hospital. It can be the difference between life and death. And people know this. The lingering anxiety for somebody who's in their 80s or 90s, living home alone, knowing, oops, if I slip in the shower, that might be the end of me. This could alleviate a huge burden of mental anxiety and peace of mind, not just for the people in question, but also their family. Tell you what, the moment it becomes feasible to put a Tesla bot in the home of my parents, I'm doing it. Instantly, no questions, whether they like it or not. Obviously, Tesla's robots could also be massive in terms of domestic duties. Imagine a Tesla bot as a nanny, or a chef, or a housekeeper, or all of those things combined. A lot of people own pets for companionship. Now, I'm not sure, but my suspicion is over the longer term, as Tesla's humanoid robot becomes more and more intelligent, more and more human-like in its mannerisms. Many people who previously might have opted to buy a dog, and in doing so, willingly hand over a huge portion of their life. You gotta walk dogs every day, clean up their shit, look after them. I mean, this is serious business here. If the goal is just companionship, maybe a Tesla bot could be a suitable replacement. Or if you want to have your cake and eat it too, why not get the dog and a Tesla bot? And Tesla bot can clean up the dog's shit, take it for a walk, and you can just reap all the rewards without doing any of the work.
And, the thing, once you have the core intelligent actuators figured out, then you can actually, put all sorts of costumes, I guess, on the robot. I mean, you can make the robot look, you can skin the robot in many different ways. And I'm sure people will find very interesting ways to versions of Optimus. So.
Once again, I have absolutely no idea what Elon Musk was alluding to there.
So I think we probably will have the most amount of data and probably the most amount of training power. Therefore, probably we will make a contribution to AGI.
This comment is the single most important you will hear in the entire video. AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Remember, you've already suspended disbelief. We're not talking about tomorrow, but we are talking about in the future. For those that don't know, Artificial General Intelligence, per the name, is Artificial General Intelligence. Now, you might have heard of some great, incredible narrow AI, for example, kicking people's ass at chess or Go, or categorizing images of cats. In essence today, the world's best AI, super narrow, incredible skills but a very narrow domain, kind of like an autistic savant. But over time, the capabilities of AI will become more and more generalized, and an important distinction must be made. A lot of people ask, well, Stephen, couldn't Google do this? Couldn't Facebook do this? Couldn't Amazon do this? Don't they have AI? There's a major distinction that needs to be made. In essence, the sum total of human knowledge is already available on the internet. Not too difficult to crawl through that information. However, we also need experience in the real world. Who else has a fleet of robots today, in the millions, collecting data in the real world? No one other than Tesla. And who will be deploying a fleet of humanoid robots into which they've already transplanted the brain, the autopilot neural networks from Tesla Vision in their vehicles, to the humanoid robot? No one. This is so important to understand. No company will be capable of competing with Tesla in terms of developing AGI until they can start gaining similar levels of real world data. And where is this going to come from? F***ed if I know.
Our goal with Optimus is to have a robot that is maximally useful as quickly as possible. We're probably not barking up the right tree on all the technical solutions. And I should say that we're open to evolving the technical solutions that you see here over time. They're not locked in stone. But we have to pick something. We want to pick something that's going to allow us to produce the robot as quickly as possible and have it, like I said, be useful as quickly as possible. We're trying to follow the goal of fastest path to a useful robot that can be made at volume. And we're going to test the robot internally at Tesla in our factory and see how useful is it. For sure there'll be hand version 2, version 3, and we may change the architecture quite significantly over time.
This is Tesla's master stroke. Tesla the company has now reached such a scale that it will actually make sense for them to begin deploying their really clunky, super dumb humanoid robots in factories over time to make them as useful as possible, as quickly as possible, eventually getting to the point where it's commercially viable for other companies to begin buying them to perform similar tasks. My expectation in terms of the timeline for Tesla's humanoid robot and its capabilities, initially very basic stuff, just moving parts from here to there, saving humans having to do it. They may be 10 times slower, it won't matter. They cost almost nothing to own and operate. Over time, they'll become increasingly more capable, be able to do increasingly more of the tasks that previously only humans could do in Tesla's factories. Eventually, this becomes an even bigger competitive advantage for Tesla, and at some point, it becomes commercially viable. Tesla starts selling these things to other companies, and that's when shit gets real. You guys remember how Tesla did the whole win at autonomy thing, even though some people still haven't figured out their lead is unassailable, by deploying a huge fleet, millions of vehicles, robots on real roads in the real world, collecting real world data, the training feedback loop, the flywheel. They're going to do the exact same thing with their humanoid robots. And I know this is a very long-range call, and some people are going to think I'm just a deluded Tesla fanboy, but I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, it's pretty clear Tesla has won the race for AGI. Won't happen tomorrow. In fact, it won't happen anytime soon. People don't understand, as I mentioned earlier, Tesla has literally transplanted the brain from their autopilot software Vision. The foundational building block of artificial general intelligence is vision. Vision is a lot more complicated than people realize, a much bigger challenge than most people realize. You must see photons into your cameras, and then you must perceive, assign meaning. What is that? Categorize things. Is this an object, an edge? Is this moving? Is it static? What are its intentions? Where is it likely to go? What is it likely to do? And then to plan, think, use your brain, and then to act. This is such a critically important thing. No one has this. It's important. No one has this. What Tesla has developed with their autopilot software, no one has it. They've now transplanted the brain into the Tesla bot. This is one of the things most people seem to misunderstand when looking at Tesla's AI Day 2. Most people got stuck on the body, the physical form of Tesla's humanoid robot. That shit's easy by comparison. The brain is what matters. And that's where Tesla has an enormous advantage, and I'm talking 5+ years. In order for anyone to have a hope in hell of catching Tesla, they would instantaneously need to deploy millions of vehicles on roads, millions of humanoid robots in the real world, and start collecting data, building up their own flywheel. Tesla's lead in terms of AGI will become increasingly apparent in the coming years, and most definitely over the coming decade. Have you guys and girls noticed that there are some people today who seem to earn a huge income? And I know people that earn $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, $10 million a year, even higher. Is this because they're being overpaid, or is it because they figured out how to add a huge amount of value compared to the average person? It's the latter. I'm sure there's many people with a victim mentality who are going to argue this point, but listen, motherfucker, the markets are relatively efficient. You get paid in proportion to how much value you bring to the marketplace. Back to the Tesla bot. Tesla's humanoid robot won't bring much value to the marketplace, but as its capabilities increase, so too will the amount of value it can bring to the marketplace. And there doesn't appear to be any arbitrary limitation to how much value anyone can bring to the marketplace. After all, there are people whose personal income in the last year has been in the $1 billion range. And it's not because they're lucky or because they're being overpaid. It's because they're bringing significantly more value to the marketplace and are getting paid in proportion. So you've got to understand, all other things being equal, let's just say eventually in the future, Tesla does develop AGI, the humanoid robot becomes equivalent to somebody, let's just say an average person, average capabilities, average intelligence. Doesn't need to sleep or eat, or go to the bathroom. Sure, maybe a little bit of time charging, but who says you can't charge while you continue to work? An average person allegedly works 8 hours a day, but let's be honest here, most people don't work most of the time they're at work. Let's just say most typical humans, 5 days a week, 8 hours a week, that's 40 hours of labor in total, not including the fact that they're busy checking email and watching idiots on YouTube instead of actually doing work for most of that time, talking to colleagues, going on lunch breaks, and so on. All other things being equal, if Tesla bot's equivalent in terms of its output, but can work 24 hours a day, give or take, you have three times the productive output, one Tesla bot versus an average human. And what happens in the future when that Tesla bot can now do twice as much work in the same amount of time? You're now looking at 6 times the output of a human. What if it can get to 4 times the output? We're now looking 12 times the output. And it's important to understand there's no ceiling on how much value, how efficient a Tesla humanoid robot or any humanoid robot can become as its intelligence continues to increase. We'll get back to more of Elon's comments in just a moment, but one final point. I'm trying to build this argument up piece by piece by piece. Today, the global economy is limited by the amount of productive labor available. Maybe you've noticed. If humanoid robots can increase the amount of useful labor available, the global economy by default will expand. And this is where things get completely ridiculous. Until we start butting up against the laws of physics in terms of the amount of available energy and matter in our solar system, and perhaps even other star systems, there doesn't appear to be any arbitrary limit to how large the global economy can actually become. Please make sure you're sitting down for this. On screen now, we are looking at world GDP over the last 2 millennia. In relative terms, world GDP has gone to the fucking moon recently with no end in sight. I mean, gone vertical. Now you might argue, well, Stephen, why don't you show us a log chart, man? I mean, that's not really fair using a linear chart. Okay, sure, let's look at the log chart. It still looks like a fucking exponential curve on a log chart. It's really important to understand. This is the world economy, visualized, okay? World GDP over the last 2,000 years. Notice the trend. It's literally heading vertical. And that's based on only human labor. Innovations in technology allowing us to be more productive, add more value to the marketplace, and also increasing population. These 3 factors combined have created this. So imagine what could happen in the future. Let's just pull some random numbers out of my ass. Let's just say that Tesla eventually, the humanoid robot, becomes so intelligent and capable, it can contribute 10 times more valuable, useful contribution to the economy than a single person in an equivalent amount of time. 10 times more. And then let's just hypothetically imagine that Tesla produces 100 million of these humanoid robots. These 100 million humanoid robots could add 1 billion people worth of contribution to the global economy. What if Tesla made 200 million? 500 million, a billion of these bots, things get absolutely ridiculous. Let me lay it out real simple. Mass production of useful humanoid robots can scale the global economy indefinitely. In the coming decades, humanity will enter an era of hyper abundance. It's very important to understand, at some arbitrary point in the future, a business will be able to buy a humanoid robot, let's just say $25,000 for the hardware, then a monthly subscription for the AGI software. And that humanoid robot can more than pay for itself in a single year. At this point in time, businesses around the world will literally need to be suffering from brain damage not to buy as many of these bots as they possibly can. Now think about this. Let's just say that Tesla's humanoid robot matches human intelligence. The average human, average Tesla bot, they're on par. Guess what? If humans were able to make the Tesla bot will be able to make more Tesla bots. In fact, it'll be able to make anything any human has ever made. And as it continues to become more intelligent and more capable, the things it can make become more intelligent, more capable, more efficient, more productive, and so on. Endless feedback loop. If you're somebody who likes to outsource your thinking and use some shortcuts, reason by analogy, you might hear a raging Tesla bull make a claim that Tesla's market cap in the future could be in excess of $10 trillion. Instead of thinking, going from the ground up, what's the truth of the matter here? Where's the argument? Is this logical? Instead, the immediate reaction is, hang on a minute,
That's bigger than XYZ index. That's impossible. That doesn't make any sense, bro. That's bigger than everything else combined. What?
this is where people make a major mistake and really misunderstand the opportunity with Tesla's humanoid robot. I have to underscore this one more time, guys. At some point in the future, someone, whether it's Tesla or someone else, will, an intelligent humanoid robot, whose capabilities and intelligence, ability to add value to the marketplace, to contribute to the economy, to provide useful labor, will approach human level, then eventually exceed human level, and then become superhuman, and continue on and on and on indefinitely. Here's an extremely long-range question to really make my point. Let's just say, ultra long term, a company, pick your company, I don't care, Tesla or someone else, any company had a major hand in expanding the global economy 100 times. How much of that value would they capture in terms of market cap? Something to consider. And if anyone happens to be hanging out with any mushroom teachers or plant teachers or similar at this point in time, here's something especially for you to contemplate. What happens if over time, a fleet of hundreds of millions of intelligent and then super intelligent humanoid robots, wait for it, are you ready? Are you sitting down? Has it kicked in? What if, in the future, this fleet, this army of intelligent humanoid robots is interconnected? I know we're getting really far out there, but this is an important thing to consider. We are again talking long term. Again, please remember, you've already suspended your disbelief. What kind of capabilities might emerge from such a collective of intelligent, interconnected, possibly sentient AGI robots? You may have noticed that consciousness appears to be an emergent property of some biological neural networks. What might be the emergent property of hundreds of millions, potentially billions of interconnected humanoid robots whose intelligence far exceeds that of human beings? All right, back to Elon's comments.
And I'm wondering if Optimus will ever get a personality and be able to laugh at our jokes while it folds our clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we want to have really fun versions of Optimus, and so that Optimus can both be utilitarian and do tasks, but can also be kind of like a friend and a buddy and hang out with you. And I'm sure people will think of all sorts of creative uses for this robot. And the thing, once you have the core intelligence actuators figured out, then you can actually, put all sorts of costumes, I guess, on the robot. I mean, you can make the robot look, you can skin the robot in many different ways. And I'm sure people will find very interesting ways to versions of Optimus. Yeah, I mean, so Optimus, we want over time for it to be, an android, the kind of android that you in sci-fi movies, like Star Trek: The Next Generation, like Data. But obviously, we could program the robot to be less robot-like and more friendly, and it can obviously learn to emulate humans and feel very natural. So as AI in general improves, we can add that to the robot, and it should be obviously able to do simple instructions. Or even intuit what it is that you want. So you could give it a high-level instruction, and then it can break that down into a series of actions, and take those actions. I think the mission effectively does somewhat broaden with the advent of Optimus to, making the future awesome. I think Optimus is going to be incredible in like 5 years, 10 years, like mind-blowing. And I'm really interested to see that happen, and I hope you are too. Optimus would definitely have conversational capabilities, so you'd be able to talk to it and have a conversation, and it would feel quite natural. Dojo is a very big computer, and actually will use a lot of power and need a lot of cooling. So I think it's probably going to make more sense to have Dojo operate in like a Amazon Web Services manner than to try to sell it to someone else. That would be the most efficient way to operate Dojo, is just have it be a service that you can use that's available online, and that where you can train your models way faster and for less money.
So Dojo as a service over the long term is going to be a $10 revenue source. I did say that. I'm on the record. You can clip it. You can quote it. Please keep me accountable. Won't happen tomorrow, but it will happen. Why do I say this? World's best neural network training platform, available as a service, much like AWS to host files. Hello, seems inevitable. People aren't factoring this in. They should be. If you're curious, Ark Investor published some research on this very topic. Not specifically Tesla Dojo as a service, the explosion in AI and neural network training over the coming decade.
And as the world transitions to software 2.0,
and that's on the bingo card.
as someone I know has to know how to drink 5 tequilas. Let's see. Software 2.0 will use a lot of neural net training. It kind of makes sense that over time, as there's more neural net stuff, people will want to use the fastest, lowest cost neural net training system. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in that direction.
That was an understatement.
Elon said that Tesla was potentially interested in building artificial general intelligence systems.
Just want to share a quick observation. During the Q&A session at Tesla's AI Day 2022, the number of people in the crowd who asked a question around AGI, artificial general intelligence, must have been half a dozen or more. Those in the know, the crowd, the industry experts understand the significance of what Tesla is working on. In contrast, I challenge you to find new research published from any Wall Street stock analyst following Tesla's AI Day 2022 in which the term AGI was even mentioned. Don't waste your fucking time, by the way. In all seriousness, there might be one or two. Not everyone covering Tesla on Wall Street is completely blind, just 99% of them.
Given the potentially transformative impact of a technology like that, it seems prudent to invest in technical AGI safety expertise specifically. I know Tesla does a lot of technical narrow AI safety research. I was curious if Tesla was intending to try to build expertise in technical artificial general intelligence safety specifically.
Well, if it starts looking like we're going to be making a significant contribution to artificial general intelligence, then we'll for sure invest in safety. I'm a big believer in AI safety. I think there should be an AI sort of regulatory authority at the government level, just as there is a regulatory authority for anything that affects public safety. So we have a regulatory authority for aircraft and cars and sort of food and drugs because they affect public safety, and AI also affects public safety. So I think, and this is not really something that government, I think, understands yet, but I think there should be a referee that is ensuring or trying to ensure public safety for AGI. And if you think of what are the elements that are necessary to create AGI? Accessible data set is extremely important. If you've got a large number of cars and humanoid robots processing petabytes of video data and audio data from the real world, just like humans, that might be the biggest data set. It probably is the biggest data set, because in addition to that, you can obviously incrementally scan the internet. But what the internet can't quite do is have millions or hundreds of millions of cameras in the real world, like I said, with audio and other sensors as well. So I think we probably will have the most amount of data and probably the most amount of training power. Therefore, probably we will make a contribution to AGI.
Possibly one of the single most understated things Elon Musk has ever said. I know it's early to call, ladies and gentlemen, but as Musk points out, no one else has the real world data. Sure, Google, Amazon, Facebook, they've got some decent online-only AI, but no one else has a fleet of vehicles and what will soon be humanoid robots out in the real world. How does anyone catch up to Tesla? The only answer is to copy exactly what Tesla's done. How do you think the board and shareholders are going to like the idea of Google or Facebook deciding to invest $100 billion or more developing their own humanoid robot trying to catch up to Tesla? What company would take the risk? Name a single company that not only has the balls to actually take the risk, but the resources to invest heavily enough to even have a hope in scaling up their own fleet of vehicles and or humanoid robots. Oh, and to do it yesterday. Elon is doing his best not to oversell things here with AGI, but the path that Tesla is now on, it seems inevitable to me that at some point in the future, AGI emerges. And it also seems inevitable that nobody else is going to be further along that path than Tesla at any point in time. Let's walk through the logic here. Elon Musk has said on the record many times now, he believes Tesla is the most advanced company in terms of real-world AI on Earth right now. This is important. He also believes that AGI will be an emergent property of Tesla's humanoid robot in the future. If we put 2 and 2 together, Tesla's already in the lead, AGI an emergent property in the future, as long as Tesla can maintain their lead, which is already at least half a decade or more. Never mind the fact that it seems extremely unlikely that any company on Earth other than Tesla will take the necessary steps to start catching up to Tesla. It's just too risky and too much of an initial investment. Just run the clock forward 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 plus years. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Hey, I noticed the semi was back there, but we haven't talked about it too much. I was just wondering for the semi truck, what are the changes you're thinking about from a sensing perspective? I imagine there's very different requirements, obviously, than just a car. And if you don't think that's true, why is that true?
No, I think basically you can drive a car. I mean, think about what drives any vehicle. It's a biological neural net with eyes, with cameras, essentially. So if and really, what is your primary sensors are 2 cameras on a slow gimbal, a very slow gimbal. That's your head. So if a biological neural net with 2 cameras on a slow gimbal can drive a semi-truck, then if you've got like 8 cameras, continuous 360-degree vision, operating at a higher frame rate and much higher reaction rate, then I think it is obvious that you should be able to drive a semi or any vehicle much better than a human.
Elon's obviously wrong. You obviously need LiDAR and radar and 27 different cameras, because we don't have any examples of cameras and neural nets on gimbals driving cars anywhere on Earth, and he made that up. There's no humans that drive cars, right? They don't exist. Therefore, it's literally impossible. We don't have an example of a solution that will work, that Tesla's copying. We just need to invent our own solution instead, which does include an incredible number of different sensors. Of course, each sensor will completely agree with every other sensor, and therefore there's not going to be any problems here. If you think that Tesla encountered said problems with radar and vision and went, you know what, fuck it, let's get rid of the radar, it's confusing, creating a worse, noisier signal, and have improved in leaps and bounds as a result of removing that unnecessary sensor, you're obviously a deluded Elon D rider.
I think from a technical standpoint, FSD beta should be possible to roll out FSD beta worldwide by the end of this year. But for a lot of countries, we need regulatory approval, and so we are somewhat gated by the regulatory approval in other countries. But I think from a technical standpoint, it will be ready to go to a worldwide beta by the end of this year. The fundamental metric to optimize against is massively improving how many miles the car can drive in full autonomy before an intervention is required that is safety critical. Yeah. That's the fundamental metric that we're measuring every week, and we're making radical improvements on that.
So words matter. Elon selected the word radical to describe the improvement in terms of the number of interventions that are safety critical per mile. Not good, not great. Radical. You guys understand? Radical.
What do we know now that we didn't 10 years ago that would make, for example, AGI on a humanoid come faster?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that AGI is advancing very quickly. Hardly a week goes by without some significant announcement. And I mean, at this point, like AI seems to be able to win at almost any rule-based game. It's able to create extremely impressive art, engage in conversations that are very sophisticated, write essays. And these just keep improving. And there's so much more, so many more talented people working on AI. And the hardware is getting better. I think it's just AI is on a strong exponential curve of improvement, independent of what we do at Tesla. Yeah, I think it'll we're going to start Optimus with very simple tasks in the factory. Like maybe just like loading a part, like you saw in the video, loading a part, carrying a part from one place to another, or loading a part into one of our more conventional robot cells that welds the body together. So, just trying to, how do we make it useful at all, and then gradually expand the number of situations where it's useful, and I think that the number of situations where Optimus is useful will grow exponentially, like really, really fast. And in terms of when people can order one, I don't know. I think it's not that far away. Well, I think you mean when can people receive one? I don't know. I'd say probably within 3 years, and not more than 5 years. Within 3 to 5 years, you could probably receive an Optimus.
Just a quick sanity check here. 3 to 5 years, first deliveries to customers for Optimus Spot. How does this align with my own expectations prior to AI Day 2022? Bang on the money. My best case scenario, expecting the very first deliveries to customers outside of Tesla for Tesla's Optimus Bot 3 years from now. Not really having a meaningful number of deliveries for about 5 years. Obviously it's super uncertain, but I always like to do a sanity check on my estimates versus the reality versus Tesla's own internal estimates. For those wondering, these assumptions are available in my Tesla valuation model. That's the thing that makes my Tesla stock price targets. If you'd like access, join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment. In addition, during the AI Day 2022 presentation, Elon Musk said he believes Tesla could produce the bot and sell it for $20,000. My own estimate is $25,000 again. It's been in my valuation model for yonks. I don't know if that's an Australian expression. I'm sure you can figure it out. So the point is, keeping in mind, of course, Elon clearly has an optimism bias, especially with timelines. Obviously, as do I. So we're fairly closely aligned with our own estimates in terms of cost and timing. If history is anything to go by, obviously it's going to be about 10 years late. But at this point in time, timeline, price point seems about right.
I mean, Tesla is like a whole series of startups, basically. And so far, they've almost all been quite successful. So we must be doing something right.
This is actually a very important point. Tesla is like a series of different startups, and they have all been stunningly successful. This track record of execution actually matters. Unfortunately, I don't think Tesla Q, the Wall Street analysts, or anyone in the mainstream finance media has figured this one out. In their eyes, for some reason, it appears that Elon Musk's statements about future plans seem equivalent in credibility to those of Trevor Meltdown Milton, who I believe is currently enjoying his final days of freedom. Speaking of Trevor Milton, I think one of the very first people to lose their job to a Tesla humanoid robot, the early, clunky, incompetent, almost brain-dead but not quite version will probably be Trevor Milton. Did I just suggest that he's an absolute fucking moron? Next to useless? Adding almost zero value? Yes, I did.
And I consider one of my core responsibilities in running the company is to have an environment where great engineers can flourish. There's a few honey trap companies in Silicon Valley. Tesla is not a honey trap. We're demanding, and it's like we're going to get a lot of shit done, and it's going to be really cool, and it's not going to be easy. If you are a super talented engineer, your talents will be used, I think, to a greater degree than anywhere else. SpaceX also that way. So we're not actually specifically focused on AGI. I'm simply saying that AGI seems likely to be an emergent property of what we're doing, because we're creating all these autonomous cars and autonomous humanoids that are actually with a truly gigantic data stream that's coming in and being processed. It's by far the most amount of real-world data, and data you can't get by just searching the internet, because you have to be out there in the world and interacting with people and interacting with the roads and just, Earth is a big place, and reality is messy and complicated. So I think it's sort of like it just seems likely to be an emergent property of if you've got tens or hundreds of millions of autonomous vehicles and maybe even a comparable number of humanoids, maybe more than that on the humanoid front.
Were you listening? I sure was. Elon Musk just chucks out a number there. Hundreds of millions, referring to vehicles, the vehicle fleet. Then describes humanoid robots and suggests hundreds of millions, maybe more. You know what's more than hundreds of millions? It starts with B. Billions. Remember the prior example? Even a humanoid robot that's as capable as a human, but can work 3 times as many hours in the day and then also 7 days, not 5 out of the week, it's going to be 3-4 times as productive as a human. What if there's a billion of them? Or 2? Or 3? What if they're 10 times as productive as a human?
Well, that's just the most amount of data. And if that video is being processed, it just seems likely that the cars will definitely get way better than human drivers, and the humanoid robots will become increasingly indistinguishable from humans, perhaps. And so then, like I said, you have this emergent property of AGI.
Sorry, I didn't see that. I thought that was a bit unprofessional. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm trying to maybe if I zoom in, I'll find it. No, it's not there. Hang on. What if I zoom? Other way. No. Excuse me one moment. Sorry, I'll just have to. Hey, Adam. Adam. Yeah, I'm just trying to find in our spreadsheet for the car company. Where is the column for? What are we saying again? Oh, emergent properties. Where is that column in our spreadsheet? Maybe I'll zoom out. Oh no, I did that already, didn't I? That's embarrassing. I already did that. What? We don't have one? Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, silly me. Because Tesla's just a car company. I was a bit worried there. Thought we might be missing something.
The thing that's happened over time with respect to Tesla Autopilot is have gradually absorbed more and more software. And in the limit, of course, you could simply take the videos as seen by the car and compare those to the steering inputs from the steering wheel and pedals, which are very simple inputs. And in principle, you could train with nothing in between, because that's what humans are doing with a biological neural net. You could train based on video, and what trains the video is the moving of the steering wheel and the pedals, with no other software in between. We're not there yet, but it's gradually going in that direction.
Certainly is gradually going in that direction. Now, just want to wrap this video up. Tesla's humanoid robot is the final product. The product to end all products. At some point in the future, and it won't be tomorrow, or next year, or any time this decade, maybe even not the next decade, maybe sometime in the 2040s, give or take, capabilities of Tesla's humanoid robot, its intellectual capabilities, will exceed that of the average human, and then eventually any human, and then eventually every human combined. At that point in time, Tesla bots can make more Tesla bots. Tesla bots can make better Tesla bots. Tesla bots can make better products than we could even imagine. Tesla bots can develop better engineering and manufacturing techniques, designs, everything than any human could ever dream of. And unless there's an arbitrary limitation to the size of the global economy that no one has yet to figure out, things are going to get real fucking interesting, real fucking fast. We are entering an era of hyper abundance as the marginal cost of energy, intelligence, and labor plummets, becoming effectively free. Not even the sky is the limit. If I had to guess, I expect the stock market won't even begin to grasp the implications of Tesla's humanoid robot, its ability to massively expand the amount of useful labor available on planet Earth, and as a direct result, massively expand the global economy. I don't think Wall Street, I don't think most retail investors, I don't think anyone in the mainstream media is even beginning to grasp the potential scale of this opportunity, nor how far ahead Tesla is in pulling this off. It's going to be a long fucking time. But in 2032, in 2042, in 2069, this video will have aged astonishingly well. If you appreciate and recognize the enormity of what Tesla unveiled at AI Day 2022 and the inevitable path to AGI, check out the link in the pinned comment or the card in the corner to pick up some ultra limited edition Tesla Bot version 0.42 merch, the watershed moment in the history of the company. The very first version of the final ever product. Check out the link in the pinned comment. I'll see you guys soon. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel and instantly unlock over 100 exclusive videos, plus my 10-year Tesla stock price targets and loads of other perks, including optional access to my Tesla valuation model, join our growing community of thousands of supporters on Patreon with the link in the pinned comment. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment-themed merch in the merch store. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. Please let me know your thoughts on today's video in the comments below, and click the card on screen now to watch the next video.